All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're digging into the secrets of one of history's most fascinating and most mysterious societies, the Indus Valley civilization. I mean, think about that for a second. An entire civilization, a real Bronze Age superpower that was thriving with mind-boggling sophistication, and then it just faded away. So let's explore the incredible blueprint they left behind for us. So where do we even begin? Well, for centuries, this civilization was basically a ghost, completely unknown to the modern world, buried under layers and layers of earth and time. Its rediscovery didn't just add a chapter to history, it completely rewrote the books. Thanks to cool science like carbon-14 dating, we now know that their peak, what experts call the mature Harappan period, was humming along from about 2400 BCE to 1700 BCE. But after that, it started a slow fade into obscurity. And get this, it wasn't until 1921, almost 4,000 years later, that an archaeologist named Rai Bahadur Dayaram Sani finally brought it back into the light. Incredible, right? And just so we're clear, we are not talking about a couple of small settlements here. No way. This civilization was massive. It stretched all the way from modern-day Balochistan in the west out to Uttar Pradesh in the east, and from Jammu and Kashmir way down to Maharashtra. This was a true Bronze Age powerhouse. Okay, so now we get to what is maybe their most stunning achievement, their cities. Because honestly, this is where the Indus people were playing a completely different game, centuries, even millennia ahead of their time. Just try to picture this. Cities that weren't built chaotically, but on a deliberate, mathematical grid. It's the same principle modern city planners use today, and the people of the Indus Valley had perfected it more than 4,000 years ago. It's just wild.
So let's break this blueprint down, because the genius is really in the details. First off, you've got the grid layout, with streets crossing at perfect right angles. Then, there's the sanitation. We're talking about sophisticated drainage systems running through the entire city. To put that into perspective, most major European cities wouldn't have that for another 3,000 years. And look at the doorways. They opened onto quieter side lanes, which kept the main roads clear and cut down on all the dust and noise. Every single detail was intentional. And while archaeologists have found hundreds of sites, there were a few superstars, The big 6 major urban centers, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Dholavira, and the rest. Each one of these was a powerhouse of culture, trade, and engineering. They were basically the New Yorks and Londons of their time.
And if you want just one perfect example of their engineering skills, look no further than the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro. This thing is a massive public structure, nearly 12 meters long. That's almost 40 feet, and it's perfectly watertight. This wasn't just a community pool. It was a feat of public works, a shared space that was probably central to some pretty important rituals. It points to a really organized society. You see, a project like the Great Bath tells you these cities were well organized. But they weren't sterile or boring. They were buzzing with commerce and art. So what about the economy that held all this together? How did it work? Well, it was all based on the good old barter system. That's right, no cash, no coins with a ruler's face stamped on them. Your wealth was simply measured by what you could make or what you had to trade. Goods for goods, skills for skills. This simple exchange really captures the whole idea. It's a direct negotiation of value. Hey, I've got these awesome beads, you've got those great copper tools, let's make a deal. It's a very personal, very direct way of doing business. And the goods they were trading were just extraordinary. You have the famous bronze dancing girl statue, which shows their mastery of metal. They carved these super intricate seals from soapstone. These little masterpieces that often had this mysterious one-horned animal, an ancient unicorn maybe? They also mass-produced beautiful pottery and had entire towns like Mohenjo-daro that were just dedicated to making these tiny, perfect beads for trade. So we've seen their cities, we've seen their economy, but what did they believe? What was going on in their spiritual world? Well, this is where the Indus Valley civilization gets even more unique. One of our biggest clues comes from the Pashupati seal. It shows this figure, possibly an early form of the Hindu god Shiva, sitting in a meditative pose, surrounded by all these powerful animals. It really suggests a deep, deep connection to the natural world and a complex set of beliefs. And it goes way beyond that one seal. All over, there's evidence for the worship of a mother goddess.
They clearly revered the earth as a source of fertility. They worshipped trees and animals. And they used symbols like the swastika, which for them, thousands of years ago, probably represented the sun. We've even found ritual fire altars at places like Lofal, which points to some very specific ceremonies.
But here's the thing that really sets them apart. Think about ancient Egypt building the pyramids, or Mesopotamia raising those massive ziggurats. You'd expect to find something similar here, right? Well, archaeologists have found no evidence of any large monumental temples. None. This suggests their faith might have been more personal, something woven into daily life and the home, instead of being controlled by a powerful priest class in some giant complex.
Which brings us right back to the central mystery of it all. A civilization this advanced, this widespread, where in the world did it go?
The first thing to really understand is that this wasn't some sudden, dramatic collapse. There wasn't one single battle or disaster that just wiped them out. Instead, this great civilization just sort of faded out of existence over centuries. The leading theory today, the one most historians are behind, points directly at climate change. Not an invasion, but something more gradual and unstoppable. The thinking is that catastrophic floods, maybe from rivers shifting their course over and over, slowly destroyed the farmland they relied on. And over time, their incredible cities, these marvels of engineering, just became unsustainable. So their story leaves us with this really powerful question. Here you have a people who are absolute masters of urban planning and trade, yet they were ultimately vulnerable to shifts in their environment. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we build our own complex world, what lessons can we learn from the blueprint and the eventual ruin of this brilliant, lost civilization?